Well, it is late at night for me, but I'm trying to get my content for you guys in the morning. Call it TK After Dark if you want. But Steve Scalise, who is the House Majority Whip, I guess, or is he the Majority Leader now? I don't know. He just published on his website the priorities. And remember that video I did where I said it's so important for you to call your congressman? And a lot of people laugh at that, but you'll be surprised. If they don't get a bunch of phone calls all day and then all of a sudden they get 10 phone calls about emissions deletes and emissions and issues, well, guess what's at the top of the list? Yeah. So welcome on back to TK's Garage. Trying something a little different. I just got my regular lighting in here instead of I have a whole track light system on the ceiling in here, but I'm trying to do my regular camera lighting and see how that works with the lights behind me. The perpetual F the EPA check engine light. I don't know, this EPA doesn't look so bad, right? But let's get into this because I am actually so excited that this is finally being done. And the last time we spoke, the last time I did a video on this, there was 11 proposed rules to be cut from the EPA. Now there's 16. So let's get into it. Steve Scalise pushes CRA, that's the Congressional Review Act, and emissions is at the top of the list. And it's right here. And in fact, I'm going to throw it for you right here on the screen. So Steve Scalise highlights potential CRA targets. Today, House Majority Leader Steve Scalise from Louisiana released the following list of rules that House Republicans are prioritizing as potential targets for CRA legislation in the coming weeks. In addition to these rules, the leader will be looking at more potential CRAs as we continue to fight to undo the damage done by the Biden administration. Let's look at it. You already knew California was at the top of the list. They are coming for CARB hard, and that is California Clean Air Act waiver. This rule, which grants waivers to allow California to preempt federal car and truck air emission standards, has resulted in higher vehicle prices for consumers, increased costs, and manufacturing complexities for automakers, and a more complicated regulatory environment. Why that is important and at the top of the list is that rule by itself, that being removed, and the federal standards, which we already know CAFE is gone, right? The DOT already... DOT Secretary Sean Duffy's already signed off on that. That's out of here. Done. CAFE standards are dead. Okay. But to see that from Steve Scalise right there immediately is huge. To see that pushed as the top of the list is the priority. What does that mean? Well, the second that gets approved or pushed through, and it doesn't require a supermajority in the Senate, because I already know there's going to be somebody in the comments, it's okay, you got to have a supermajority in the Senate for that to get passed. Wrong. I don't need 60 votes in the Senate. I need the House to just pass it, right? They only have to pass it by a majority of one vote. Send it to the Senate, get 51 votes over there. Yeah, we know Mitch McConnell is a dumbass. He probably won't sign on for it, but we don't care. 51 votes over in the Senate. So if that means the vice president has to come in and vote on it, so be it. And then it goes to the president's desk and he signs it. And what does that mean when the president signs it? It means manufacturers no longer have to make these complex emission systems on cars. That means General Motors could immediately, now I know that what the other responses in the comments are going to be, TK, they've invested millions of dollars into that, they're not going to stop doing it. Wrong. It costs them untold billions of dollars to maintain this crap, right? That's just facts. I don't care how many hundreds of millions of dollars they've invested into active fuel management. They still invested into it. It'll still be there in the event that they ever needed to bring it back. But it means for now, as soon as that gets signed, it means companies like General Motors can get rid of displacement on demand, active fuel management, whatever I've already seen people in they don't call it that anymore, TK, they call it this. I don't care what they call it. I don't care if they call it, your mom's ankles on the headboard. I don't care what they call it, okay? I'm talking about the BS cylinder deactivation crap that is on General Motors, MDS at Chrysler. You know what I'm talking about, where it shuts down half the friggin' cylinders and you see that stupid little eco light and it's causing lifter failures and tons and tons and tons of money in cost. They can stop all that crap. It also means that manufacturers like General Motors and Stellantis, aka Chrysler and Ford, wouldn't have to go through this extracurricular crap. No DEF, no DPFs. Now, I'm sure there'll be some emission standards from the federal government, right? But let me explain to you why this is so friggin' important. Once it is pulled back by a CRA in the House, it can never, ever, 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 ever be proposed again. The only way that they could ever propose something like that again is, yes, they would have to have brand new legislation. And when it's brand new legislation, they would require a 60 vote majority in the Senate to get it through. So a lot of people are like, well, how do they get through all this other? They're using budget reconciliation to get through without having to have supermajority in the Senate, meaning not even supermajority, but 60 votes. Okay. So that's how they're getting. And then some of the stuff when it comes to like justices, judges, some different rules, some legislation that deals with federal regulations, they don't need 60 votes. And that's because Harry Reid blew that up years ago. That used to be the senator here from Nevada. Okay. So what you might hear every once in a while called the nuclear option. Okay. Since that's happened, yeah, they've opened it up and they can get other stuff done. But once this gets pulled back, repealed, okay, every single rule that gets repealed, in order for them to reinstitute it, remember I said this before, go back and look at my videos, that in order for them to put this stuff back to where it was, it would cost so much money. It would make the inflation, I'll put it like this. Everybody's bitching about eggs, right? Everybody's complaining that eggs cost untold amount of money, right? Gas is high. Everything costs like so much more money than it did 4 or 5 years ago. Okay. Got it. Times that by 10. Because in order for them to do that, like they would have to spend, it would be super inflation. It would literally be politically unaliving themselves. That's what that would be. That's what it would be. It would be over with for them. If you're wondering why I had to go, because you can't even say some words on YouTube without getting smacked. So dumb. I could say the F word, the S word, the A word. I can say whatever I want, but if you say, you can't. I should do a whole video on that. Anywho's, this is huge news. If you have made the phone calls, if you were fighting with, to call your congressman about this. And here's the thing. There's Democrats from Michigan that are going to sign on to this, that have already come out publicly and said, yes, this is great for auto manufacturers. Why? Because the ability, let me just explain to you how huge this is. This goes through and General Motors can talk about them having engines that don't have this crap on it, or Stellantis comes out with a Hemi that doesn't have MDS on it. Do you know how many people are going to trade in MDS vehicles to dealerships? There's going to be a flood of emissions equipment vehicles hitting the market in the used car market, and people will buy new stuff because those engines will be reliable. They're old school. They're bulletproof. They'll work for a while. Diesels. I remember when I bought my 3500 Chevy, right, back in, what was it? It was a 1998 Chevy 3500 dually, diesel. I don't even think it was a Duramax then. I don't know what they called it. But that truck had, I don't know, 120 something thousand miles on it, maybe. I don't know, when I bought it. And it didn't have no DEF, no DPF, nothing, no crap on it. That truck is still running to, I know it, I ended up trading it to a tow company that worked next to one of my businesses where I lived. They're still driving that truck today. They're still towing cars with it, well over like 600 and something thousand miles on that truck. You can't do that with a diesel pickup truck today. You see them all the time. They're blowing up at 50,000, 100,000, 150,000. And then people put them on Facebook Marketplace like, hey, my 2016 Duramax, it's got 230,000, but they, diesels run for 500,000 miles. Yeah, diesels before 2010. Diesels before 2009, yeah. I put it to the same thing as like LS engines before, what was it, 2007, before they started doing active fuel management, displacement on demand, or yeah, whatever. Those engines, those 5.3s, those 6.0s, 6.2, 5.7s, they run forever. They're bulletproof. Yeah, you see them with 300,000 and 350,000 miles on them because they don't have this crap on them. So I'm excited because they're going to be pushing this, and we already know what the first CRA is going, and it's emissions, baby. What does that mean? Well, just like a lot of diesel manufacturers who have been coming out, or diesel aftermarket people that have been coming out into the press here lately, talking with bigger like big news like Bloomberg and other people, because they're asking about it. And everybody's excited for a reason, because they know once, like, we already know that the regulations were going to get rolled back regardless. But once it goes through Congress and the president signs it, it's night, night. We can get back to having common sense. All right? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Give this video a big thumbs up if you like what I do. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And as always, stay petty, my friends.